Hey guys, it's Tyraco here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a little bit different video than what I've put out, and a different video even from what other content creators are making. I haven't seen anybody do anything exactly like this, but the idea came from a viewer in my stream a few days ago. He said that when I was asking about some video ideas that would be beneficial, he mentioned when to replace specific champions. So I took that as when to replace the specific champions from like a beginner arena team. And the beginner arena team is typically your starter, Warmaiden, Spirit Host, and Diablos. That's a typical beginner arena team. So my idea is to jump into those champions, not necessarily go over a guide with their gear. While I will touch on their stats a little bit, it's not going to be an in-depth gear guide. Instead, it's going to be a what does this champion fit, like which role does this champion fill, and what do you need to look for when filling this champion's specific role. So definitely leave in the comment section below what you think about this video, what you think about this series, what I can improve on with inside of these videos to make them most beneficial to you guys. If there's anything I left out, definitely let me know down below. I want to make this the best I can. So without further ado, let me go ahead and jump into when can you replace Warmaiden. So when we look at Warmaiden, I'm going to go ahead and read her abilities. You may already understand them. I'm going to go ahead and go over them again. Attacks one enemy, applies a poison. It's essentially what this does. 30% chance, so it is a low percent chance. 2.5% poison. It's the weaker version of poison. The stronger version is 5%. So while Warmaiden does have a little bit of utility, possibly on the clan boss, she's definitely not a very good champion. You're not going to be replacing her because of her poison. Her poison is not even to be considered when looking for a replacement. Second ability, attacks one enemy, places a 50% increased attack buff on this champion, and places an extra hit if this attack is critical. So this tells you right here, you want her crit rate to be as high as possible, 100% ideally. A little bit lower, it's not a big deal. You'll see my champion, she does not have 100% crit. You will see I don't have her booked out. She does require quite a bit of books, and her only ability that we really want to focus on here is her A3, her third ability. So I have not put any books into her whatsoever. You can farm her from the campaign though. So if you wanted to get her from the campaign, you could book her out fully, upgrade her skills, which you would just go here, upgrade skills, and just use a duplicate versus using one of the rare books. Never use epic books. Hopefully you know that, but definitely don't use those. Now, jumping back into her, let me check out the Crumbling Blast, her A3, which is what we're here for exactly. Attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. Now, when booked up, this does go to 100%. And if I could make all the books go to this ability, I would 100% have her booked. But since she does require a little bit, and being free to play, you don't get a whole lot of rare books. You do get a decent amount, but I haven't put anything on her yet. So, getting into what her role is. Her role is basically to soften up the enemy team before your big damage dealer hits. So, some other champions that could fill a similar role are champions like Skullcrown. Now, a lot of these are going to be epic champions, so keep that in mind. Warmaiden is a very good rare champion, so a lot of the replacements for her will be epics. So what you're going to want to look for is somebody who has either decreased defense at a 60% chance, not a 60% chance, a 60% decreased defense debuff. So originally, before you get Warmaiden to 3-star Ascension, it's actually, I believe, a 30% decreased defense, which is the weaker version. You don't want that. You want the 60% decreased defense, which is the strongest version of decreased defense that you can get. And another ability that's pretty similar is Weaken. Now, when you go for Weaken, you want to make sure it's 25% chance. I'm going to show you Aethel. This is what the Weaken debuff looks like right here. Little skull and crossbones with a little like fire thing on the top of the head, but 25% Weaken. This just makes the enemies that Weaken is applied to take 25% additional damage. So while decreased defense may be better in most situations, a Weaken from somebody like Skullcrown could do a similar role as this decreased defense does from Warmaiden. Let me jump into an arena match and show you exactly what she is doing for my team and why I like her so much. So you definitely want her, if you're using Warmaiden in any of your teams whatsoever, you want her to be faster than your damage dealers, your big damage dealers. So in this case, I want her to be faster than Aethel. If she's not faster than Aethel, she's not really doing what she should be doing. While her A3, her ability does do a decent amount of damage, we're not bringing her because of her damage she does, we're bringing her because of this decreased defense debuff. So whenever this is applied, it's going to allow our Aethel to hit quite a bit harder. So we can obviously clean up the whole wave using her. Now, let me jump into a dungeon match real quick, and I will show you what this kind of looks like. If I can do a match against something, let's go ahead and do this. Dragon Stage 11. Actually, let's do a Void Affinity so we're not getting any different boosts. So let's do Aethel and Warmaiden, just these two, okay? First, I'm gonna use her with the decreased defense, okay? So you see the Aethel hit, I couldn't really tell. Let's go ahead and redo that, turn it off of auto. So what I'm doing here is I wanna see how much damage, and show you how much damage Aethel does with the decreased defense up, and how much she does without it up. So first off, we gotta apply this decreased defense. So we got it on these three over here. So I'm gonna keep an eye on these three people over here and how much damage is done to them. We got 20, 17, 17 it looks like. So about anywhere between 17 to 20,000 damage. Now, when we get out here, we'll go ahead and replay it again. Still not on auto. There's no decreased defense up whatsoever. Let's see what we hit. So we got some 13. So she's doing quite a bit more damage, you can see firsthand, against these people with that decreased defense up. So before she did between 17 and 20, it looked like there she probably did between 11 and 14. So it's a decent jump to your overall damage. And when you're bringing somebody like Warmaiden in there, it's going to really help your team clear out those waves, get past them, get to the end boss sooner rather than later. Decreased defense works great against the clan boss as well. And now, what I was saying, I don't have anybody I can show you what Weaken does with necessarily, because Aethel will probably kill somebody, but a close second to decreased defense is Weaken. So you do get your damage increased by 25%. One second, let me do some math on this and check how much damage that should be ideally. So what I did, I went ahead and did some math to see about how much damage Aethel would have done if you had somebody applying Weaken 25% instead of decreased defense. So here, it looks like if Aethel was hitting at 13,000, but you applied Weaken to give her an extra 25% damage, she would hit for about 16,000. So Weaken is very close to that decreased defense number. And in some situations, it may do better if the target doesn't have very much defense anyways. The higher the defense of a target, the better decreased defense is going to be. All right, so with those numbers being shown, decreased defense seems to be a little bit better, especially as you go on further into the game. When people get more and more defense, decreased defense is going to be stronger and stronger when compared to Weaken, I believe, if the math is showing up correctly. But when you're looking for a champion to replace Warmaiden, which is the whole point of this video, you're going to be looking for somebody who can apply one of those debuffs that basically soften the target. Most importantly, you're going to want to make sure when gearing them that they go faster than any of your other damage dealers. The reason for that being, obviously, is because you want your damage dealers to get through the stages, to kill the boss, and make it easy for them. So I'm going to jump in here and show you what she looks like on dragons. Let me make sure I have the right team here. This should be fine. You'll see that Warmaiden is always going before my Aethel and always before my damage dealers. If she's not going before them, you're not getting the full benefit from her, in my opinion. You're not getting that decreased defense on that first hit. All right, so we got through that dragon fight. So back to Warmaiden and when you're going to replace her. So when replacing her, or when considering replacing her, keep in mind that her job is to soften the enemy team. So you're looking for either a decreased defense at 60%, applied to all enemies. That is the major key. Make sure whatever the debuff is, whether it's Weaken 25% or decreased defense 60%, that it is applied to all enemies. Now, keep this in mind too. You may not even want to replace Warmaiden if you get somebody with a Weaken debuff, because decreased defense and Weaken can be applied to the same target, so it will increase your damage even more. But if you're really looking for somebody to replace Warmaiden and you get a champion maybe such as Skullcrown, who does apply 25% Weaken on all enemies, I'll show you what she looks like right now. She can replace Warmaiden very well. She also does a massive amount of damage. So you can see here, 50% chance of placing 25% Weaken. So if you get someone like that, definitely able to replace Warmaiden in the arena, but in dungeons, you may even want to use them side by side. If you're looking for somebody to specifically replace Warmaiden though, you're looking for that applies decreased defense 60% to all enemies, as well as some abilities on their A1 and A2 that's a little bit more useful. In my case, on my main account, I use Madame Saris to do the replacing role for Warmaiden. She does decreased defense and decreased attack, as well as some buff removal and some little extra damaging stuff. That's what I use. I know a lot of people also use Stagnite. So a lot of people also use Stagnite to kind of replace Warmaiden in a lot of situations. He has decreased defense and decreased attack on his A2 on a little bit shorter cooldown than Warmaiden. Definitely worth booking him out. So keep that in mind. Her role is to soften the enemy team. If you find somebody who can do that, they'll likely be able to replace Warmaiden. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Check us out on Twitch. I stream live every day except for Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. And if you have any suggestions on how I can improve this series, definitely let me know down below. I want to make this as beneficial for you as possible. But other than that, guys, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you later.